Gospel of John was written by the Apostle John. He was an eyewitness to the fact that Jesus is God. Now, we aren't talking about John the Baptist, but John the Apostle, who was a disciple of Jesus, one of the 12. He saw the miracles of Jesus and heard Jesus preach and teach. He learned how to serve God from Jesus himself. As an eyewitness to the many miracles of Jesus, John wrote this book to declare the glory and godhood of Jesus. We will learn how it is that John could claim that Jesus is God. Try to dig these truths out for yourself as we read, and come along as we study through the book of John. The Gospel according to John. Chapter 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. There was a man sent from God, whose name was John. The same came for a witness, to bear witness of the light, that all men through him might believe. He was not that light, but was sent to bear witness of that light. That was the true light, which lighteth every man that cometh into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name, which were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. And the Word was made flesh, and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John bare witness of him, and cried, saying, This is he of whom I spake. He that cometh after me is preferred before me, for he was before me. And of his fullness have all we received, and grace for grace. For the law was given by Moses, but grace and truth came by Jesus Christ. No man hath seen God at any time, the only begotten Son, which is in the bosom of the Father. He hath declared him. And this is the record of John, when the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, Who art thou? And he confessed and denied not, but confessed, I am not the Christ. And they asked him, What then? Art thou Elias? And he saith, I am not. Art thou that prophet? And he answered, No. Then said they unto him, Who art thou, that we may give an answer to them that sent us? What sayest thou of thyself? He said, I am the voice of one crying in the wilderness, Make straight the way of the Lord, as said the prophet Isaiah. And they which were sent were of the Pharisees. And they asked him and said unto him, Why baptizest thou then, if thou be not that Christ, nor Elias, neither that prophet? John answered them, saying, I baptize with water, but there standeth one among you whom ye know not. He it is who coming after me is preferred before me, whose shoes latchet I am not worthy to unloose. These things were done in Bethabara, beyond Jordan, where John was baptizing. We could spend months studying these first 28 verses alone, but don't worry, we won't do that here. It would, however, be a great project for you. Like we said, John wants to show us that Jesus is God. Where do we see that in these first 28 verses? Have you already noticed something? In verse 1, we see the Word. It is important to understand that one biblical name for Jesus is the Word. You can read that in Revelation 19:13 later. If Jesus is the Word, then John 1:1 tells us three important truths. The Word was in the beginning. The Word was with God, or in the presence of God, in the beginning. And 3, the Word was God, who was in the beginning with God. That means that Jesus is God. He was with God because God is a holy trinity. He himself, Jesus, is God. Verse 3 tells us that everything was made by the Word. If everything came to be through Jesus, the Word, then Jesus is the Creator. John claims that Jesus is the Creator God, the same God that in Genesis 1:1 made the heavens and the earth. That God is Jesus. Beginning in verse 6, we are introduced to John the Baptist, not the same John who wrote this book. John the Baptist had a job, and that was to preach that the Messiah is coming. And verse 14 shares with us this wonderful news. The Word, don't forget that is Jesus, the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us. How exciting is that? The Word that was in the beginning, through whom all was brought into existence, who is also God, that Word, the Word, lived among us. He is come here as a baby. His name is Jesus. Jesus is God. In the next few verses, the priests and the scribes came to John the Baptist to find out who he really was. Is he the Messiah? Is he a prophet? Maybe he's Elijah from the Old Testament. Through this book, we will learn who the Messiah really is. That Messiah, of course, is Jesus. Come with us as we look for those clues here on Young Theologians.